To understand Hakon Rian Yuland, you have to look at the extremes of his daily routine. He practices an intense form of asceticism, living as a self-ordained monk and regularly walking barefoot through freezing snowscapes. Behind this physical discipline is a mind operating at the limit of human capability. Hakon is a Mensa member with an IQ placing him in the top 0.5. Surviving a period of total psychological manipulation can change how a person views authority. For Hakon, the extreme control of the sect acted as a lens, making the power structures in everyday society easier to observe. The initial lure of Linbu was a promise of community, but it quickly shifted into an environment of constant surveillance, where every action was monitored and evaluated by the leadership. This diagram shows the mechanism of isolation. The central node represents the cult, systematically severing an individual's ties to family, friends, and outside reality. Without external anchors, the dehumanization process is completed. Members are reduced to subjects lacking personal agency. But the sect faced a challenge with Hakon. His analytical training and ethical framework created a psychological barrier that prevented the leadership from fully breaking his resolve. Recognizing the immediate danger, he began methodically mapping out his extraction, planning a precise escape route across the border back to Norway. The moment he reached safety, he collaborated with the Swedish press to provide the testimony and evidence needed to expose the sect's internal abuses. To recover from the violation of the sect, he instituted a strict trauma protocol. He enforced his own bodily autonomy through celibacy, dog therapy, and practicing mindfulness while resting on shards of glass. These intense practices were a proportional response to reclaim his humanity. By controlling his own physical pain and boundaries, he countered the years he spent under the control of others. While recounting these events in a podcast studio, Hakon began connecting his time in the sect to his 40-year career in the state system. This matrix highlights their shared logic. On the left, sect mechanisms like isolation and obedience. On the right, the state welfare system's reliance on pace efficiency and compliance. Both systems strip away human nuance. Treating people as data points prioritizes bureaucratic goals over individual needs. The realization was stark. Even well-intentioned government care can mimic the mechanics of a cult when institutional management replaces human empathy. Hakon used these insights to develop a new organizational framework designed to overhaul child welfare institutions. The first pillar of this model replaces cold compliance metrics with a mandate for ethical transparency and direct human engagement. It forces the institution to remain accountable to the individuals it serves rather than the paperwork it generates. This circular flowchart illustrates the second pillar. Instead of a top-down legal hierarchy, the model places the family unit in the center, surrounded by holistic therapies. This resolves underlying trauma, prioritizing family stability over bureaucratic convenience. Reforming these systems requires an ethical foundation that cannot be compromised. It took an intellect pushed to the edges of institutional control to reveal how these systems can be rebuilt to protect the vulnerable.